Trump just pardoned Larry Hoover. And if you guys don't know who Larry Hoover is, he's a gangster. And in 1988, Hoover received a life sentence, but his attorney argued that he should be resentenced under the First Step Act signed by President Trump, former President Trump, in 2018. Some viewed Hoover as a folk hero, while others questioned his responsibility for multiple unalivings. Hoover has a son named Larry Hoover Jr., who is also associated with the gangster disciples. Big huge news for the hip hop world and everything. Like, we know Trump has been partying. A lot of people we don't like, but I don't know what y'all thoughts about this one. Like Larry Hoover, and if you don't know, Jay Prince from Houston just made a big shout out to Trump, shouting him out, saying thank you for partying Larry Hoover. Big news.
So yes, he's out, or Trump has agreed to it, and I think there's some process that has to happen before they let him go. Enzo.
So I don't know much about Larry Hoover other than Rick Ross. I know he was a gangster and everything like that. Gray, I'm not gonna bite your style, but this is gonna be Trump's what he's known for is prison reform, and I'm all for it. I mean, if there's valid reasons to, I mean, yeah, just freeing him. Good for him, and it's gonna shut up the naysayers. It says he's racist. I mean, like, look at the most notorious people he's freed: Kodak, Lil Wayne, Larry Hoover. I heard earlier that he freed NBA YoungBoy too. I don't know if that was true, but there he goes.
Hey, if Biden can pardon Fauci before anything happens, we can get them.
That
Guarantee
part.
they ain't did as much damage as Fauci. Gray.
This is I'm obviously not a Trump fan, but this is the type of stuff that I like about Trump. That Trump is just so out there. Trump will do anything and everything he wants. And for me, this definitely is a W. Like, Trump did a great job. Like Enzo said, like, prison reform is one of the best things that Trump's doing. The First Step Act, and then he's like pardoning all these people. So I can't be a hypocrite and say, oh, like, I'm against that when I feel like that's what the country needs. Is like, people, we incarcerate more people than any other country, and we don't even have like the biggest population. But Enzo, to tell you who Larry Hoover is, he made the Gangster Disciples, and they have a lot of like information where it's kind of like actually good. I know they changed the name to something like that, but he created this gang, and then he's been accused of selling drugs and things like that, and then also a deletion of some people. But the reason I feel like it's good to free Larry Hoover, because these young guys are running around in gangs. So maybe if you let the guy out that's older, maybe he can go out there and like say, hey, this is not the way. I got a life sentence. Like, I'm gonna tell you that this is not what y'all want to be doing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Ratchet Christian.
Well, I voted for Trump, and so I am a fan of most of the things that he does. Not everything, but most of the things that he does. And so this is just another one of the great things that he's doing. The one thing that I like about Trump, I feel like he is tapped into the culture. As much as people want to make it seem like, oh, he's racist, he was this and this and that, he didn't become racist until he ran for president. Trump has always been involved in Black culture, whether rappers were like referencing him in songs as like a metaphor for being rich or whatever it was. Like, he hung out with Mike Tyson. Like, he's always had his hand in Black culture in some way. And so even in his first term, like freeing Kodak Black and all that stuff, I think him pardoning Larry Hoover just further solidifies that it's not just a stunt. He's not trying to get the Black vote by doing that, because he's already president. He has no real incentive to do that, other than the fact that he thinks that, Larry Hoover has been reformed and should go back to the streets. And I do think he's been reformed and should be able to go back home to his family. I may be wrong, but I feel like Kanye and Kim were trying to free him at some point. Like they were heavy on that when he was doing his like Jesus walks type of situation. No, Christ is King like era. And when Kim Kardashian was on that like reform and stuff, a lot of people have tried to free him. And so it's nice to see that our president is using his power to do that. Now, I like all the pardons. I hope this doesn't then lean into like, well, then let's just pardon Derek Chauvin then, because then I will have a big problem with that because no, keep him in there.
Trying to start a whole debate now.
I'm here. No, I'm kidding.
You gonna like these guys because these guys are right.
I don't agree. Yeah, I don't agree that Derek Chauvin should be locked up. I think he should be let out.
You don't agree that he should be locked up?
No.
I would love to hear more about why you feel that way.
Did you watch the video? He tried to keep the boy in the car. He didn't want to stay in the car.
He tried to keep George Floyd in the car?
Yeah, he should have stayed his black ass in the car, and then he get out and want to fight back and squirm like a worm all on the ground. Dude was just doing what he was trying to do. Like there should be some type of immunity in that situation.
But after
like, George Floyd was acting like his mama, being all loud. I just got pulled over by the police yesterday, right? In the new city I moved to, the police are like roaches in the hood out here. Like they do not play. Got pulled over because I got in the wrong lane. It was a bike lane. Thought it was the turning lane. New area. Pulls me over. I do it, windows down, 10-2, license on the dash. Guy comes up, asks for my license, give it to him, go back to the car. He come back, he's like, hey, I see you new to the area because I had a different out-of-state license plate. He was like, just be careful. It happens. Keep it moving. Now, if I'd have been like, all that, the wrong energy, of course that's going to happen. When you're dealing with the police, it's best to just shut up. Talk to the person that doesn't have a gun. My grandfather raised me on that. Who don't have a gun that you could talk to who has more power than the police? The judge. We can avoid a lot of situations by just being quiet, doing the basic things, show your ID, and go on about your business. Like we got egos. Cops got egos too. Like we're all humans. So the thing is, they got more power than you. So it's best to just be quiet at that moment. Listen to the authority. If they do something wrong, you can report it. So that's what I'm saying. George Floyd was just messed. He was all wrong in that situation.
Vogel's the only red pill guy on here, but he's the most red pill. I want to go to these comments. Nora, this is the producer on the other show, the host on Tuesday, Thursday. She put he still has 50-year state charges. He ain't going nowhere. I did see that a judge is she talking about Larry Hoover.
Larry Hoover.
And then she did a super chat. Gray will be wearing a MAGA hat by 2028. So I'm not at all, you know what I'm saying, MAGA, but Volger is, Enzo is, the other guys. I'm the only person on the left on this show on the man cave thing.
We've established your MAGA light.
Right.
Yeah.
You're coming forward every day. Every line.
Yeah, you got the trial version. That's what we said.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more in the center. I feel like I can be conservative leaning on some things and then left leaning on a little bit of things. You know what I mean? I try to just stand in the middle and listen to whoever's making the most sense, but that requires listening to both sides. And so although I don't agree with your take, what's your name? Vulgar? Okay, Vulgar. Although I don't agree with your take, I can appreciate hearing it because it's not too often that you hear somebody that's on the side of it, especially hearing a black man that's on the side of, I think George Floyd was wrong. And I think it's interesting, so.
And I think this is important to end with saying that we focus too much on what the police should be doing. Yes, they should be held to a higher standard, but with the black fatigue and all that's going on, we need to focus more on what we should be doing. Like we have this thing where a lot of black people feel like because 400 years of slavery, whatever excuse it is, that we should be able to act out now with no consequence. And that's just not a thing. So to me, that's why a lot of us have these egos. We have something towards the police. We don't even know the person individually. We just have something towards the police. So it's tension from the start. So the reason why I don't get in line with that is because I'm like, we need to look at police differently. Yeah, there are a few bad apples, but for the most part, they're there for the good. If you watch the movie The Purge, that's the prime example. If we just said, hey, police don't do nothing. Matter of fact, it's going on. Go to any major city. The police don't care anymore because they don't want to go to jail for doing their job. So a lot of them are just chill out now. That could have been the reason the police let me go yesterday. I'm just saying. So we're not thinking about that. We got so much animosity towards the police. We're not thinking that we need them. And maybe we should act differently. Maybe there should be a different interaction.
What's your answer to this, Vulgar? What about over policing the Black community?
Yeah.
Shoot, they over crime in the community. So is there really a over policing? Because we're under fathering.
Well, what if we're under fathering because we're over policing, and because we're over policing, we're overfilling the jails, and so the fathers aren't there to parent. I'm in agreement with you in that we do, as a culture, need to have more respect for authority. If you don't have respect for authority, you can't thrive. You can't hold down a job. If you can't be okay with somebody telling you no, or, having respect to somebody that's older, then that's something that's going to affect you throughout your life. So I do think as a community, we need to do a better job in holding ourselves accountable and respecting authority. But I think this is the very first time that we've had a good look at what police are doing to the Black community and communities of color. Now, is it an overcorrection? I think it has been an overcorrection since BLM, but that kind of happens, when you had a whole society of people, people saying the police are abusing us and nobody believed them. And then all of a sudden in 2020, everybody finally understood what Black and brown people were talking about. Now it's almost like the overreaction where it's like people of color are always right and police are always wrong. And that's not necessarily the case. Both can be at fault in different situations. I think it's about coming more towards the center and knowing that both people should be held accountable if they do something wrong. I don't believe that police should get away with doing whatever it is that they want to, but I also don't believe that police should be disrespected. So it's just both people have to come back towards the center and have more common sense and respect to one another, because at the end of the day, we're people. Even if you're a police officer, you're policing people, and if you don't like the people that you're policing, you're going to have a heavier hand on them. And some people go into the policing for the wrong reasons, and so I think there's been a level of scrutiny on police that has been well deserved because they have abused their power. It's not unwarranted, but now it's like, how do we move forward? Because we do need police. In 2020, I marched, I held up the signs, defund the police, and now everything is locked up in Target. Now everything's locked up in Walmart. I can't get a toothbrush because it's behind the jail, and so we do need police, but we need good police. And so how do we get good police and not, bad ones?
No, that's the thing. We do have good police.
We need more.
Well, we have, I would say 99% of police are good. You got those select few, and then you got some, like in the George Floyd case, where they're being blamed for something when he did his job. Casualties happen. There's no guarantees of anything. This is like if you go to a gym, you got to sign a waiver in case you die on some equipment or something. Like, there are casualties. That's a dangerous job. So that's why I'm saying he don't need to be in jail. And I think they got rid of the technique that he used, which was legal at the time. To me, it was an emotional decision made by the jurors in the court, because they did say they stopped that certain maneuver. He didn't do anything outside of what he was trained to do. But I wanted to go back. I don't think there's any over policing, because the police are second. We got to get fathers back in the home. That's the biggest thing. If you don't have fathers, feminists, women, single mothers cannot raise boys. Matter of fact, they can't even raise women, because you got women out here who are 304 in it. And now twerking is they twerk like you bow and pray. That's what women, that's the new prayer now, is twerking. So what I'm saying is, until you get these fathers back and strong, I'm not talking about these old super soy boy liberal fathers who think the boy should be able to change his sex, the wife should be able to do what she want to do and run the household. No, I'm talking about a strong father who has standards, core values, and stick to them, and there's consequences when you disrespect under his household. So until we get that back, because the police, fathers are the first police. If you handle your kid for the first 5 years, you had that strong male presence, they're going to grow up more than likely to respect the police. You're not going to have that problem. I know we got off subject, but I think it was important to hit on. So we got to stop looking at the police and start looking at the homes. But guess what? When we look at the homes, nobody wants to go back home. Nobody wants to cook anymore. A lot of men don't want to be monogamous. They want to be like the rappers and the football players and have all the women. Nobody wants to focus on family anymore. And that's the problem. Yeah. All right. Speaking of